Hiccup, a young Viking, tells his audience about his hometown of Berk. It's been here for 7 generations, but every single building is new. Draconian dragons swoop down on the village, ravage the livestock, mainly sheep, and burn everything on fire, hence all the new buildings. The citizens arm themselves and attempt to repel the dragons. Hiccup, despite warnings from all the grown-ups around, takes his homemade Bulla's firing cannon outside and uses it to blast a dragon out of the sky. As Gobber's assistant, Hiccup has access to the knowledge of the equipment and materials necessary to forge items. Nobody believes the dragon when it lands in the woods far from the village, so Hiccup has to wait until the next day to go looking for it. Although it is shown to be a particularly dangerous night fury, Hiccup finds himself unable to slay the creature. Instead, he lets it go, and it flew off into the trees without harming Hiccup. Because it can no longer fly more than a few feet at a time, the dragon, who Hiccup subsequently names Toothless because of its retractable teeth, has holed up in a steep-sided valley, where Hiccup eventually finds it. Hiccup notices the dragon is missing a tail fin while drawing it. He fashions a leather tail fin replacement. Hiccup gets a good notion of what needs to be done to help the dragon fly straight after taking a ride with Toothless, who is unable to control the new fin. Hiccup constructs and fine-tunes a saddle, a tail fin control mechanism, and a safety harness in a sequence of sequences set in the workshop and during test flights. To complement the training he is receiving from Toothless, Hiccup's father Stoik has enrolled him at Gobber's Dragon School, where he will be taught how to fight dragons. He starts out as the class's weakest performer. Hiccup's classmates Astrid, Snotlout, Fishlegs, Roughnut, and her twin brother Toughnut are not surprised by this development because they know him to be a clumsy fool. Hiccup has a soft spot in his heart for Astrid. In little time at all, Hiccup is able to put the skills he's honed with Toothless to use calming and controlling the school's practice dragons. Dragons are really simply very large cats. They enjoy being handled. There is a species of grass that acts like catnip to them, and they are particularly fond of fish, albeit strongly opposed to eels. To Stoik's astonishment and delight, his son is doing exceptionally well in dragon training when he returns from a fruitless hunt for the legendary dragon's nest. As a gift, he offers Hiccup a horn helmet fashioned from his mother's armor. The success Hiccup has had at Dragon School is not going to result in the slaying of any dragons, but Hiccup, as usual, is unable to get over his father's expectations and speak truthfully. A frightened Hiccup decides to run away with Toothless after he accidentally earns the right to slay a practice dragon in front of the entire tribe. Hiccup's disappearances and general secrecy have raised suspicions in Astrid. She goes with him to the secret valley and meets Toothless there. Hiccup is at a loss for words to describe his bond with the dragon, so he takes the girl flying instead. However, they get swept away in a group of hungry dragons returning to their nest. The smaller dragons are eaten by the larger one if they don't bring it enough food, so they fly towards a hilly island and drop the food into a pit. Shockingly for Hiccup and Astrid, the dragons have been stealing their sheep to protect themselves from being eaten. Hiccup manages to talk Astrid out of telling where the dragon's lair is when they arrive back to their house. She gives him a final punch to the arm before leaving, saying, "That's for kidnapping me." Next, she gives him a passionate kiss and declares, "That settles everything." The ceremony to kill the dragon ends in disaster. Hiccup throws down his weapons to prove to the Vikings that dragons will only attack in self-defense, but the intervention of Stoik and the others provokes the dragon into attacking. When it looks like Stoik is going to be killed, Toothless comes to the rescue, but Hiccup quickly stops him. Even though Hiccup begs them not to, the enraged Vikings eventually lock up Toothless. Stoik is determined to use Toothless to locate the dragon's nest when Hiccup inadvertently reveals that the dragon companion took him there. Hiccup has tried to warn him about the enormous dragon, but he ignores him. Hiccup packs Toothless onto his ship, and the other Vikings and village warriors set off without him. After Hiccup says aloud that he wishes he had killed Toothless earlier, when he had the chance to prevent everything that has happened, Astrid asks him to elaborate. While doing so, Hiccup has a realization about his own integrity, fortitude, and Astrid's trust in him. Hiccup and his classmates get the jolt of a lifetime and decide to chase the fleet on their practice dragons. The Vikings, upon reaching the dragon's island, use catapults to blast a hole in the side of the mountain where the massive dragon is imprisoned. At that point, Stoik knows he's made a mistake. So that the other Vikings may get away, he decides to fight it alone. Gobber offers to help. The youngsters arrive to help fight the dragon just as Stoik and Gobber are about to sacrifice themselves to distract it. The massive dragon is temporarily diverted, but not before it lays fire to the Viking ships. Hiccup, while his friends distract the massive dragon, attempts to free Toothless from his bonds and save the burning ship. But he and Toothless end up in the water and must be rescued by Stoic. Toothless and Hiccup team up to pursue the enormous monster. They're hoping to lure it into the clouds and have it smash onto the island rather than toward the Vikings. Finally, Toothless fires a blast into the gaping maw of the massive dragon, sending it crashing and burning while seemingly taking our heroes with it. Stoic, distraught over the whereabouts of his son, approaches a wounded Toothless on the ground. The dragon opens his wings to demonstrate that he has saved Hiccup. Gobber says cryptically, well, most of him. At home, Hiccup gets up after being woken up by Toothless. While fighting the massive dragon, Hiccup discovers he has lost the use of his left foot. The new one that Gobber has developed for him is spring-loaded and brilliant. As a result, Hiccup and Toothless can now relate to one another in their shared handicaps. The Vikings take their pet dragons outside, where they may be seen flying and playing with the other villagers. Astrid blows a kiss to Hiccup as they meet. Hiccup, delighted by the newfound partnership between Vikings and dragons, takes flight with Astrid and their pals after receiving a tail fin prosthetic and saddle for Toothless from Gobber. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe for other recaps.